on, everybody? This is Jason and welcome back to the basement. Just wanted to do a really quick video. I have heard about the recent discontinued models for Fujifilm. The X-T4, the X-E4, and the X-Pro3 are all discontinued on B&H and some other platforms. I only checked B&H, but I did see the rumors on Fuji Rumors about it and just wanted to think about what that meant for the future of Fujifilm. So on top of that, we now have a semi-confirmed rumor that the XS20 is going to be released in the next Fuji Summit. And so that makes it very interesting. I'm actually vlogging, as you know, if you follow me or subscribe to me. I vlog on the XS10, which I love. I think it's a great camera. It is the great vlogging camera, I think, for the average person in the Fujifilm lineup. The X-T4 was what I think they wanted that to be the vlog camera for them, but it didn't really satisfy the photographers. So I think that's where the XS10 I think does a better job of being kind of a less serious camera, but still able to do the hybrid work that a camera like this should be able to do. Flippy screen, has the traditional PASM dial, 4K shooting, 4K 30. I don't use 4K, I do 1080p. Good grip, takes all the X mount lenses. What's not to like about it? I used to be a Canon M50 guy, but I think the XS10 is a way better camera for a lot of reasons. And I went all Fujifilm, and the XS10 was my chosen vlog video camera of choice outside of the old X-H1 I used to have. So it got me thinking about the lineup of the Fujifilm X mount. So right now that would leave the X-H2, X-H2S, the X-T5, the XS10, which is now going to be updated to the XS20, and then there's no X Pro model. There's no X-T4, which was kind of sitting on its own, but they kind of went XH with that kind of flagship model. And the X-T5 doesn't do the battery grip thing. So I think they're shuffling the lineup. And then the X-E4, I think, was a miss by them. Most people probably had a lukewarm feeling about it. And I used to be an X-E3 owner. And I thought that that was a better camera, and they probably should have made an update to that camera in a way that they kind of re-updated the XT using the 5 as kind of like, okay, we messed up on the 4, let's do that with the 5. And I think the X-E5 should follow in the vein of taking the X-E3 as probably the better camera of the X-E line instead of the X-E4, and making the X-E5 more like that one. So if they do an X-E5, I think a tilt screen, obviously. Make sure you include a grip this time, not make it super flat. I think that was a mistake, trying to upsell a grip. Why not just include it? It didn't have to be the biggest grip, because the X-E3 didn't have the biggest grip, but it was good enough, and they still had an option for another grip, say you wanted it. So I think that's what they should do. They'll probably put the new sensor, if they even do it. Again, this is all just my thoughts. This is not anything concrete from any source. I don't have no sources. I'm not that. This is just me wishful thinking. So, excuse me. So yeah, update the sensor. Put the new 40 megapixel sensor in there. Maybe even just go with the 26 megapixel. Who knows? And yeah, I don't know what else they would include, but obviously the incremental improvements that you would put in a camera, but really base the physical appearance around the X-E3 instead of what they did with the X-E4. So skip all that. Now the X Pro line. I am a happy X-Pro3 shooter. I love this camera. I actually chose to keep the X-Pro3 over the X-E3 because I just felt I had too many cameras, and two rangefinder style cameras. I had to keep the X-Pro2. So my current Fujifilm lineup: XS10, X-Pro3, X-T2. That's my, and I'll probably do another video explaining why those are my 3 chosens Fujifilm cameras. But anyway, X-Pro line. So X-Pro3, again, I think it was a polarizing camera, very experimental, very niche. It's already a niche camera by itself. The X-Pro2 is still a niche camera, but I think that was the best one because it still was able to be used in a lot of ways. If you wanted it to be a street camera, it's a street camera by nature. You got the optical viewfinder, you got the EVF, it's got the back screen facing you with no problem, good LCD resolution. You got dual card slots, it's weather sealed, 8,000 shutter speed, electronic shutter. It's not a video camera, so don't even talk about video. It can do some basic video, but it's not a video camera. You don't go for that camera for video. You know, go with the XTs, the XS, the XH, not the X Pro. So X-Pro3 gave it the, a 26 megapixel sensor, but they flipped the screen inside, not facing you, so you had to flip it down to see it. And then it had a little kind of box on the outside to show this film simulation. And I think that probably what kept people from really loving it. If you were a film purist, that's cool, but you're probably not going straight from film to an X-Pro3 at the price point that it was if you never touched digital before. So I think they really should have followed up like they did with the X100V and made the screen flip out the way we normally expect it to, like an X-T5, X100V, and the X-Pro3 would have kind of gone the better route of being a great seller. But I think that was probably the disappointment for most people, myself included, that if I was going to go consider that, I didn't. I went straight for the X-Pro2. And although flip screens for non-video work isn't that important to me, it does help because when I use my X-T2, it does help to have this screen kind of flip out, for like low angle stuff, or more important, not low angle. Low angle, I'm not only shoot that much low angle, but when I shoot overhead at an event, I can shoot up and have this screen pop out so that I can see overhead when I'm shooting. I can't do that with the X-Pro2. So if they put a screen like that in the X-Pro3, they would have been a bestseller. So is there going to be an X-Pro4, and will they make that adjustment? I don't know. The future is out. Now, XS20. What's going to happen with the XS20, right? What's our guess? Now, being just maybe forward thinking, maybe this is, the camera industry is shrinking. And so camera companies have to adjust, and maybe to their credit, they need to shrink too, but maximize each model. So if I'm thinking like an executive, and I'm thinking like someone who has to make decisions, maybe you make the XS20 because remember, XT double digit also isn't being produced, I don't think. XT30 Mark II is also discontinued. I forgot about that. So I think that's discontinued as well. So there's no I guess low end enthusiast model. And I think the XS20, if they gave it weather sealing, stick with the single car slot, but they gave it weather sealing and improved the maybe 4K 60, and then I don't know what else. The new sensor, 40 megapixels, or stick with the 26. But I think if they just they're probably moving the XS line into that enthusiast, compact, entry-level model. So it'll be XS20, X-T5, XH2, XH2S. And that's going to be their X line. And they probably will maybe not do an XE or X Pro. Maybe that's the end of the line for them. I don't know. Those are niche. I think the XE is not a niche camera. I think that definitely has value. It's an entry. It's a less expensive rangefinder model, but the X Pro is definitely more of a niche, high end X rangefinder. So, do they want to continue the rangefinder lines? That's to remains to be seen. So, I'm gonna end it here. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think is gonna happen with Fuji? What do you think is coming next? I guess it remains to be seen. Camera sales are overall down, but I think Fuji has captured more of the smaller sales of the market. So they're probably just trying to shuffle their deck a little bit so they can maximize, because they can't even sell cameras because a lot of parts are out. So maybe they're just adjusting to that and really maximizing where they think they will sell the most. So I'm going to leave it there. Peace, y'all.